Look, those servants are so miserable. What did they do to be punished gravely like that?
How dare you serve me a disgusting food like that? Go there to receive your punishment. And all of you, stand up straight. You dare to provoke me, you must be tired of living. Brian, I think you shouldn't punish them gravely like that. Anyway, their sin is not so great. They were too noisy. They ruined my nap. Isn't it a great sin? If you see them miserable, just take the punishment for them. The only thing you can do is to use your power to bully weak people. What then? Power is the thing that you can never have. People, put that insolent man into the dungeon for me. If you were a tiny normal person, no one would respect you. That day will never come.
One day, when the winter was about to come, being too bored with the amusements in the palace, the prince decided to go to the nearby forest to find something new. Suddenly, he saw a tiny thing which was moving below. Taking a closer look, it turned out to be a tiny girl.
See what I have? A tiny girl? It's interesting.
Please release me. I will repay you.
I have everything. I need nothing but a tiny toy. I will bring you back to entertain.
You're too bad. Then don't blame me. The girl took a small potion from her pocket and threw it directly toward the prince, making him so painful. When the pain was eased, the prince opened his eyes and saw himself turned into a tiny man. The tiny girl also found a way to get back to the ground.
How dare you smell me? I order you to turn me back to normal quickly. If you don't do it, I will order people to destroy this forest.
Ignoring the threats from the prince, the tiny girl just left there.
All right, wait for it.
However, just walking for a few steps, suddenly a big ant appeared. Believing that the prince was food, it came closer and grabbed the prince.
Help! Help me! Anyone there? Please help me!
At that very moment, the tiny girl appeared and helped the prince escape from the ant.
I will eliminate all of ants in this entire kingdom!
With his shape at that time, it was really dangerous for him to return to the palace, so he had to follow that tiny girl. That tiny girl named Tina, a spirit of the forest. Her house was an old oak root. Despite being so small, but the space inside that oak root was so large.
I order you to turn me back into a normal human quickly, or I will...
Anemone!
What?
The flower of anemone will help you diffuse the spell, but it's winter now. There will be no anemones for you.
Don't try to fool me. The winter is so long to come. Wait for it to see how I will punish you.
Brian opened the door, and a cold wind blew in, making him freeze. So even if he didn't want it, but he had to stay there until the end of winter, if he didn't want to be frozen. Tina's daily works were to help the wounded animals in the forest. Didn't know why, but there were so many of the animals who needed the help of Tina that winter. Waiting for so long without having the dinner, The prince was angry with Tina.
Do you intend to prepare the dinner for me?
If you want it to be quick, just give me a hand, or I will kick you out of here.
You dare to threaten a prince? I will give you a great punishment.
Of course I dare, because it's my house, my world, and you can never use your rules with me here. Couldn't do anything more. The prince had to help Tina unwillingly. After working hard for a long day, the prince felt so exhausted. Tina served the prince a hot pot of soup that she prepared when he had been so busy.
Did you cook it with magic? It's more delicious than all the things I've eaten before.
Just a normal mushroom soup. It's because you're hungry. Thank you so much for today. When they were enjoying the meal joyfully, suddenly the continuous knock sounded. A wounded giant goblin was looking for Tina's help.
I think you shouldn't help him. The goblins are really cunning and evil.
However, with her kind nature, Tina couldn't stand there and ignore the goblin. She still decided to cure the goblin. A few days later, the wounds of the goblin were totally healed. And it wasn't unexpected, as the princess warned before. After recovering, the goblin immediately turned against them. He didn't want to leave, and he even captured and detained Tina.
It's really warm here with full of fluid. Why do I have to go out there and experience the cold winter? Be obedient. Serve me or you will be crushed.
Don't use your power to bully others, or I will punish you when I'm back to normal.
Really? That day will never come to me. Quickly, prepare a pot of soup for me.
That situation reminded the prince about all the things he had done before, and he could feel the anger and the helpless feelings of the one who had been bullied by him. Without resigning, the prince found a way to kick the goblin out.
What are you doing?
The logs are wet. So from now on, every time I fire the stove, it will cause much smoke. If you cannot stand it, just leave here.
The goblin was contemptuous. Then he took a breath and blew strongly. Then the smoke was clear. Not giving up, the prince found many other ways to chase the goblin away. But he could do nothing to the goblin. One day, Brian found a really strange clover. When the goblin was sound asleep, the prince went to ask Tina. This is passed with strong anesthesia, but it has just a little effect with the goblin.
We won't know if we don't try.
But he is really cunning. He always forces you to try all the food first. How can we use it?
It's all right. I found a way.
As usual, seeing the prince try the food without any problem, the goblin quickly devoured everything. Taking the chance, the prince quickly used a handful of powder, which had been grinded before, to put in the pot of soup without letting the goblin know it. After eating the whole pot of soup, he immediately collapsed. The prince quickly rescued Tina, and together they brought the goblin out of the house before he woke up. Suddenly, the goblin woke up, knocked the two out far away. In the most dangerous moment, Ryan realized that he was standing near an anemone. It turned out that the winter had passed already. He immediately bit on an anemone flower. Immediately, the prince was back to his normal shape. With a big and strong body, the prince easily kicked the goblin far away by its own leg.
Tina! Tina! So lucky! You're still alright! About that goblin, I'm afraid that he will come back. I will order people to come here and protect you.
Don't bother. Actually, this oak is a gate to enter my house. I will move it to another place, then that goblin will not be able to find me.
So, I won't be able to find you, right?
The place where I live will have a violet anemone flower. For the days being with Tina, the prince learned a lesson for himself. From that moment, he wouldn't be arrogant and bully others anymore. Sometimes he went to the forest to find the place which had a violet flower and left a little gift there for Tina.